Free agency is right around the corner, and today we are going to be doing our first free agency video here on the Commanders Report this offseason, where I'm going to be breaking down the top free agency targets for the Washington Commanders here. Of course, we don't know the head coach, so, there's still some questions that still need to be answered here before we really start whittling down this list. But today, we're going to take an early look of 2024 free agency and who the Commanders may go get. But before we get into all of today's content, do me a favor, click that subscribe button for me right now, because we're going to be having breaking news coverage all throughout this historic offseason for the Washington Commanders. They're going to be hiring a new head coach. They're going to be hiring a brand new coaching staff. They're going to be getting a new quarterback, most likely. They have the most cap space, and they've got 5 draft picks in the first 100 picks in this year's NFL draft, including the number 2 overall pick. So this is going to be a historic offseason for this franchise. If you don't want to miss a single thing, do me a favor, click that subscribe button right now and join the Commanders Report family. So let's start with how much cap space the Commanders are going to have heading into free agency. And listen, it's going to be more than this number that you see down below. So right now, they have over $75 million to spend during the 2024 offseason. It's going to get more than that. They're going to cut players. They might even restructure some players. That number is going to be bigger come free agency time. And right now, that currently sits as the highest amount of any team in the National Football League heading into the offseason. So make no mistake about it, man. The Commanders are going to have a lot of walking around money once we get to NFL free agency. So let's go over the free agency priorities in terms of team needs. I didn't put quarterback on here because I think they're going to address that in the draft, but I think you absolutely have to address edge rusher. For sure, that number 1 spot. It's going to be tough to draft somebody to come in and be your number 1 edge rusher right away. So if the Commanders are going to be looking to compete right out of the gate, they're going to use all that cap space to try and get the best edge rusher they can in this year's NFL free agency period. Also, you need help on the offensive line, both at offensive tackle and on the interior. We'll talk about the top guys at both of those positions today as well. You also need inside linebacker, and you could use a tight end and a kicker as well. So let's go over the top free agents now at the most important position for the Washington Commanders to go out and get this offseason, and that is edge rusher. And these are the top names right here. Josh Allen from the Jacksonville Jaguars, Brian Burns from the Carolina Panthers, Danielle Hunter, Jonathan Grenard, Jadeveon Clowney, Zadarius Smith, Josh Uche, Leonard Floyd, Andrew Van Ginkel, and Carl Lawson. These are the top 10 names that are going to be hitting free agency this period. And listen, I think that 2 of these names here, the guys right at the top of the list here, Josh Allen and Brian Burns, both of these guys I expect to be franchise tagged by their respective franchises. So listen, Josh Allen is my number 1 target here. If he hits the open market, throw whatever money he wants at him. All right, same thing goes for Brian Burns. Get the best guy available is the name of the game here for the Washington Commanders, because you gave away Montez Sweat, you gave away Chase Young. You don't have any good edge rushers right now. You need to get a really good veteran edge rusher in this class. And right now, I think that the person that is probably going to be the best edge rusher on the open market that doesn't get franchise tagged is Danielle Hunter, former Minnesota Viking, or probably soon to be former Minnesota Viking. He has had a bunch of different contract negotiation fails with that Minnesota organization. I don't think they're going to bring him back, and I do think he is the best overall talent that I think will hit the open market. And I really do think with Allen and Burns unavailable, Danielle Hunter is your guy. You take a look at his numbers here throughout his career. Did not play in 2020, but he's had double-digit sacks 5 times in 8 years. All right, this guy is absolutely fantastic, including this past season with 16 and a half sacks, 83 tackles, 23 tackles for loss, and 4 forced fumbles. For those of you that don't know, I'm actually from Minnesota. I used to work the sidelines as a security guard at US Bank Stadium. Standing next to Danielle Hunter is like standing next to a statue. This guy is built. He looks like a straight-up monster in pads. Now, he's 29 years old, so he's getting a little bit up there. He'll be 30 years old next year, but he does have 5 10-plus sack seasons. He's going to be coming off a 16.5 sack season there in 2023. And according to Pro Football Focus, his projected contract is going to be 3 years, $21.67 million per season, $40 million guaranteed throughout the entirety of that 3-year contract. And honestly, I am paying whatever whatever it freaking takes to get this guy in the burgundy and gold. If you trade away Montez Sweat and you trade away Chase Young, you need to get somebody that's going to be, and you don't think either of those guys is going to be your true number one guy for the future. You have to get somebody that you believe is that guy. And I think Danielle Hunter has the skill set and the ability and the production to back up the kind of contract that the Commanders would end up giving him. And it would probably be close to a top 10 level edge rusher contract here. Of course, to get inside the top 10, you'd have to top Trey Hendrickson's $21 million per season. So listen, I think that Danielle Hunter is one of the best edge rushers in the game of football today. He needs to get compensated for the production that he's had in this league. And honestly, I think the Commanders would absolutely love to have him as their number one edge rusher heading into 2024. But now I think a bigger question for the Commanders is not if they're going to get an edge rusher. I think for sure they're going to try to get their number one guy, but do they sign a second edge rusher at a lower contract to be the complementary piece on the other side? Of course, you traded both of your starting edge rushers at the trade deadline last year. You just signed one. You can't replace two guys with one guy, right? So maybe they go out and get a guy like a Josh Uche, who I would really like to get here, okay? So you see Jonathan Grenard and Jadeveon Clowney and Zadarius Smith. Those guys will probably be a little bit more expensive, but I actually think Josh Uche is going to be a pretty affordable player because his Pro Football Focus went down this year after being, I believe, the 14th highest ranked pass rusher according to Pro Football Focus back in 2022. And Pro Football Focus says right now you can get him under contract for a one-year deal, $7.25 million. I think that would be absolutely fantastic deal for the Washington Commanders. You get Josh Uche, who has incredible bend and speed off the edge, and that can really open up some great opportunities for Danielle Hunter as your tactician on the other side of the formation. And listen, if this is the potential front four here, I mean, goodness gracious, good luck going up against this group right here, man. Danielle Hunter, one of the best pass rushers in football, maybe the best defensive tackle duo there in Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen, and then Josh Uche, a super bendy, super speedy edge rusher coming on the other side. Good luck stopping that is all I'm going to say, and I think the Commanders have the money to make it happen. So predict it for me down there in the comments section. Will Washington sign one or two edge rushers during free agency this year? I think for sure they're going to sign at least one, but let me know down there in the comments section, one or two for today's pinned comment. YouTube will throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds, or at least some point during this video. When that happens, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section and give me a one or a two. Now let's move on to the offensive line here, and starting with the tackles. And listen, offensive tackle is kind of one of those nutty positions because you need two of them on a team, and if you have good offensive tackles, teams usually don't let them hit the open market. So the best guys on the market heading into this offseason, Tyron Smith, Dallas Cowboy. Then you got Trent Brown, formerly with the New England Patriots, Jonah Williams, and Jermaine Illuminar. All these guys were starting tackles in the National Football League last year. And for me personally, my preferred choice would be Trent Brown. Now, the reasons for this, I think that Trent Brown is a really, really solid offensive tackle in this league. Is he an all-pro caliber guy? No, but I do think that he is one of the more technically proficient guys in this league. He's always solid, and he can play both on the left and the right side. You take a look at his profile here, an 80.3 Pro Football Focus grade on the left side there. He was the Patriots' left tackle this past season. Top 10 offensive tackle in football in terms of the grading. So, I mean, the production's absolutely there. And like I said, he can also play on either the left or right side, so whatever the Commanders need to do, you have that versatility. And then the projected contract is actually very, very nice here. 2 years, $7.5 million per season for a total of $15 million over those couple of years. I think that's a really good contract for somebody that's still a top 10 level offensive tackle in this league. I think that is a steal. And if the Washington Commanders can get this guy in their building for that price, I think they absolutely need to pull the trigger. Now coming up here, I got more free agency targets at inside linebacker, tight end, interior offensive line. Trying to get a new center here in Washington. But before I do that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/CommandersX2 to get your hands on this awesome t-shirt combo that they are currently having on sale on their website right now. I think that the offseason is the perfect time to get your hands on all the NFL apparel that you want, because that's when all the best deals are happening. So right here, you get pretty much two shirts for the price of one. You get that short sleeve burgundy with that awesome awesome design right there. And you got the long sleeve white t-shirt. And listen, I'm wearing a long sleeve t-shirt today. I love wearing long sleeve t-shirts, but when the weather starts getting warmer, it's tough to wear navy blue. It's tough to wear black. It's tough to wear burgundy, right? But a nice white t-shirt, you're going to be able to stay cool during the summer months, but you can also rock it during the winter months as well. Very versatile set of t-shirts here. If you want it in your closet today, you can get a great deal when you use our link, chatsports.com/CommandersX2 right now. So now we talked about the tackles. Let's talk about the guys on the inside. And these are all the top names and all the highest graded interior offensive linemen slated to hit the free agency market. You see the little asterisk next to a name. That means that they can play center. So right now the highest graded center in the National Football League is Connor Williams of the Miami Dolphins. And that, guys, is my preferred choice to be the new center here in Washington. I think we all know Nick Gates, not going to get it done. Ricky Stromberg, I think if he was really who the Commanders thought he was going to be when they drafted him on day 2 of the NFL draft this past year, he probably would have started at some point this year. So I think that the Commanders are going to want to get a legitimate starting center, and you can't get better than Connor Williams. All right, he's 26 years old, so he's still got tread left on the tires. He was the highest graded center in the National Football League this year with a grade of 86.5. That is absolutely fantastic, and you can get him for a really nice contract there if you're the Washington Commanders. A 1-year deal for $6 million. Hell, I'll take you for 4 years at that $6 million price point if you want. So it's definitely going to be an interesting situation here. I think there's some good options on the market, but my preferred choice right now is definitely Connor Williams. Now, this is a potential offensive line that you could go into the NFL draft with, all right? So you got Charles Leno Jr. and Trent Brown as your tackles. Maybe you can get a nice tackle to replace Charles this year in the draft, but I think you can move Andrew Wiley if you really need to over to guard. Wiley's making quite a bit of money in 2024. It would really hurt if they just sat him on the bench with as much as he's going to make. He's played guard before. I think it's time for a move inside, just like they did with Sam Cosmi last year. And then you got the guy in the middle there, Connor Williams, to really anchor this front. So this gives you the versatility to go out in the draft and take some really nice players on the offensive line, but it also doesn't force your hand, and you can absolutely rock with this group if you absolutely had to. Now we're going to be getting into inside linebackers, tight ends, and kickers here in just a second, but if you're a real one here at the Commanders Report, do me a favor, click that thumbs up icon. Really does help us out. Takes half a second of your time, and I really do appreciate all of your guys' support. So now let's get into the inside linebackers here, and there's some good names here as well. Lots of really solid options. And honestly, guys, I would be fine with any of them, all right? I think that Jamin Davis is a really good option for them right now. They're going to let Cody Barton walk. He was absolutely a train wreck this year. But if you get any of these gentlemen on the screen right now for a decent price, I think it would work out for this defense. Now, I don't want to spend too much on the inside linebacker position. It's not a high-value position. I want to go out and spend money and spend big resources on those really big, high-priority positions. Offensive tackle, offensive line, in the trenches, quarterback, number 1 corner, wide receiver, these types of positions. Linebacker isn't really a priority for me. So although I would love any of those guys, you got to get them for the right price. You don't want to spend too much of your money on the inside linebacker position, in my opinion. Then we move over to tight end, and tight end is very similar to me than inside linebacker. I think you for sure have to sign a linebacker where you don't necessarily need to get a tight end, but I would love a dynamic receiving threat here in Washington. Logan Thomas is fine, but I don't think anybody is scared to put a safety on him one-on-one in coverage. But Dalton Schultz, Hunter Henry, and Noah Fant are all guys that can run. They're guys that can run routes, and they are guys that can really make a difference in the passing game. So if the Commanders could end up adding one of these guys, that'd be fantastic. But just like the inside linebackers, guys, I don't want to break the bank for a tight end. Once again, it's a lower value position. Right now, we're just starting a rebuild. We don't need to be spending oodles and oodles of cash on these low-value positions. So if you can get one at a price that you like, go ahead and do it. But if they're asking for too much this offseason, go ahead and pass on these types of tight ends. Then we get to the kicker here. And listen, there's lots of options at kicker as well. There always is in free agency. Obviously, Kaimi Fairbairn is probably the preferred choice there. He had the highest make percentage this year. Of course, he's still kicking with the Houston Texans this year, so he would be my number one choice. I also like Cameron Dicker. He's got a strong leg, all these different things. So I don't want to bring back Joey Sly. He just had too many misses this year. He's got the lowest make percentage out of anybody on this list, so I want an upgrade at kicker as well, but honestly, don't really care all too much about who that is. Now, let me know down there in the comments section, out of all the players in NFL free agency this year, what is one free agent that you really want the Washington Commanders to sign this offseason? Is it Danielle Hunter? Is it Josh Allen? Is it Trent Brown? Is it somebody else that we talked about today? Did I miss anybody? Let me know down there in the comments section what you guys think heading into free agency this year. That'll be it for me today, Commanders fans. Thank you so much for all of your support. Make sure you guys click that subscribe button right now for wall-to-wall Commanders coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason.